Star Trek settles the debate once and for all. Yes, the Kobayashi Maru is necessary. Few ideas in Star Trek are as infamous, controversial, and philosophically charged as the Kobayashi Maru. For decades, this no-win scenario has divided fans, cadets, and captains alike. Is it a cruel, rigged test designed to humiliate and break Starfleet hopefuls, or a profound moral lesson essential to leadership? Now, after years of reinterpretation across multiple series and films, Star Trek has finally settled the debate once and for all. Yes, the Kobayashi Maru is absolutely necessary. And the reason why goes far deeper than strategy or simulation. It speaks to the very soul of what it means to command, to confront mortality, and to embody the ideals of the Federation. The origins of a no-win scenario, introduced in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan 1982, the Kobayashi Maru was more than just a test. It was a philosophy. When a young James T. Kirk first faced the unwinnable situation, he did what no one else dared to do. He changed the conditions of the test so he could win. "I don't believe in the no-win scenario," Kirk famously declared. His defiance became legendary. Fans admired him as the quintessential Starfleet rebel, the man who wouldn't accept defeat, who believed intellect and determination could overcome anything. But in later Star Trek stories, that same attitude became a double-edged sword. The franchise began asking, what if the point wasn't to win, but to understand what losing teaches you? From Star Trek 2009 to Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the Kobayashi Maru has evolved from a background detail into a thematic centerpiece. It's no longer just about Kirk's cleverness, it's about the Federation's moral foundation. Strange New Worlds brings the test back into focus. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1 opened with an unexpected reference to the Kobayashi Maru, reframing it through the eyes of Captain Christopher Pike. Pike, who already knows his tragic fate thanks to Discovery, reflects on the test not as a training exercise, but as a metaphor for command itself. He recognizes that every mission has the potential to be a Kobayashi Maru, a situation where no choice is without consequence, and no captain can save everyone. This modern take hits harder than ever because it acknowledges something fundamental about Starfleet. Exploration is inherently dangerous, and leadership demands sacrifice. The test isn't meant to humiliate cadets. It's meant to prepare them for the inevitable moment when they cannot win, no matter how hard they try. By showing Pike's empathy, Kirk's defiance, and Spock's logic all filtered through this same scenario, Star Trek finally answers the question. The Kobayashi Maru is not about the outcome. It's about how one faces the impossible. The lesson: leadership, loss, and acceptance. To understand why the Kobayashi Maru matters, you have to understand the emotional and philosophical core of Star Trek. The Federation isn't built on perfection. It's built on the courage to face imperfection, both in the universe and in oneself. The no-win scenario tests more than tactical skill. It measures a cadet's ability to maintain moral clarity under crushing pressure. Will they risk their crew for civilians? Will they choose to die to uphold the Prime Directive? Will they crumble under the weight of an impossible choice, or hold steady, knowing that every path leads to loss? In The Wrath of Khan, Kirk's arrogance in having never faced true failure comes back to haunt him. The death of Spock is, in a way, his real Kobayashi Maru. He's forced to confront mortality and realize that some sacrifices are not only inevitable but necessary. In Star Trek Into Darkness 2013, the scenario is mirrored again, this time with Kirk sacrificing himself to save his crew, completing his emotional arc and proving he finally learned the test's lesson. So when modern Star Trek revisits the Kobayashi Maru, it's not rehashing nostalgia, it's reaffirming that every Starfleet captain must wrestle with the same truth. Leadership means losing something precious and carrying that weight forward. Why cheating, the test misses the point. Many fans love Kirk's creative solution. After all, hacking the simulation to win feels perfectly in character for a man who never accepts limits. But the myth of the cheated Kobayashi Maru has become so iconic that it sometimes overshadows what the test was designed to reveal. Kirk didn't really win. He avoided the lesson. When Strange New Worlds reintroduces a young Kirk played by Paul Wesley, his interactions with Pike quietly reinforce that even the boldest captains must learn humility. His instinct to challenge and subvert the system is admirable, but incomplete. Pike sees in him the same flaw that Starfleet Command once criticized, an inability to accept that sometimes there is no victory. It's this balance between defiance and acceptance that makes great captains. Picard understood it when he sacrificed the Enterprise D to stop the Duras sisters in Generations. Janeway embodied it every time she risked her life to bring Voyager home. Sisko confronted it head-on in Deep Space Nine, where every moral victory came at a devastating cost. The Kobayashi Maru lives on in each of them, not as a simulation, but as the essence of commit. The emotional truth beneath the test. If you strip away the starships and phasers, the Kobayashi Maru is a deeply human story about mortality, failure, and integrity. It forces the participant to ask, what do I value most when victory is impossible? Do I cling to survival or to principle? That's why the test design is so brilliant. It doesn't punish you for losing, it watches how you lose. Do you panic, abandon your crew, or betray Starfleet values? Or do you face the end with courage, compassion, and dignity? It's easy to be moral when the path is clear. The real measure of character is what you do when every option is wrong. In many ways, the Kobayashi Maru is Star Trek's version of a moral crucible. It distills the franchise's entire philosophy into one scenario. The Federation believes that facing adversity with honor matters more than winning. That's why even though the test has been updated and reinterpreted, its essence remains untouchable. The Federation's need for the test. There's a practical reason the Kobayashi Maru endures too. Starfleet captains operate far from home, cut off from command structures, making split-second decisions that affect thousands. A test that forces them to make those impossible decisions in a safe environment is not cruelty, it's compassion. In an age of warp-speed technology and endless exploration, it's easy to forget that Starfleet's greatest resource isn't its ships, it's its people. The Kobayashi Maru exists to teach them empathy, resilience, and humility. Without it, the Federation would produce commanders who might win battles but lose their souls. That's why, in universe, the test has survived centuries of change. Even in the 32nd century setting of Star Trek Discovery, where technology has advanced beyond comprehension, the spirit of the Kobayashi Maru remains relevant. Burnham herself faces her own no-win moments repeatedly, proving that the test's philosophy transcends time and context. When Star Trek itself took the test, it's worth noting that Star Trek as a franchise has faced its own Kobayashi Maru moments, times when it seemed impossible to please fans, stay true to its ideals, and evolve for new generations. The cancellation of Enterprise, the reboot controversy, the streaming era fatigue, all no-win situations. Yet the series continues to endure, adapt, and grow. It does what every great captain does. It refuses to give up, but also learns from failure. In that sense, Star Trek is living proof of the Kobayashi Maru's wisdom. Sometimes, the test isn't about whether the franchise wins in the ratings or reviews. It's about whether it continues to uphold its core belief that hope, curiosity, and compassion matter, even when the odds don't. The final word, why the Kobayashi Maru generations to come.